husband, male 39, has thrown me, female 27, under the bus to his family with his silence and complete lack of spine. How do I salvage this? Original post. My husband Owen and I have been trying for a baby for years with no luck. I would be happy to adopt, but Owen's family is against it. It has influenced my husband to also be against it. After our second year of trying, I begged my husband to go with me to get a checkup to see if either of us or both of us is infertile. He was strongly opposed to this, as all the men in his family are extremely fertile, but eventually gave in, and as it turns out, his sperm count is extremely low. He was heartbroken as I was, and we both got therapy. After a year of no longer trying, I got pregnant but lost the baby, and we were devastated. Owen blamed himself and proposed that we start the process of getting into a family planning center for a sperm donor, which I agreed to. He asked me that we'll not tell either of our families about this, or our friends, and I agreed because I would never want to emasculate him. With the help of our donor, I was able to successfully become pregnant, and we had our little girl last year. She is healthy and progressing amazingly, and I thank God for her every day. I kept my promise and never told anyone. However, Owen is struggling with connecting with our little girl. Here is where the trouble begins. Last month, he went out of town with his brothers for their friend's bachelor party. While on the trip, Owen told his brothers about our infertility issues and that our baby wasn't biologically his. One of his brothers must have told his wife, who told my husband's mother. I don't know why she would tell my husband's mother, except that she has never liked me. Their mother then came to our house and called me a lying whore and tried to get my husband to leave with her. He just stood there silent. I told her that it was Owen's decision not to tell anyone, and she asked him if this was true. Again, he was silent, which his mother took as me being the liar. She then went to our nursery and started taking everything she'd ever given us for the baby back. I told her I didn't care about it, and I made more than enough to buy everything she gave us myself, and better quality. This set her off, and she called my baby a filthy bastard. When she said that, I did something I know is harsh, but I believe she deserved it. I physically pushed her out the door. I didn't hit her, but I did put my hands on her shoulders, pushing her out the door, and threw all her crappy things out with her. After spirits had calmed down, I realized my husband had said nothing when his mother was berating me, calling me a liar, and when she called our child a filthy bastard. So I asked him why he was silent. He said I wasn't raised to be disrespectful the way I was, and that his mother hadn't said anything that wasn't true. She was just hurtful with what she'd said, and that we should let it go and wait for his mother to forgive us. I told him that I would never let it go, that his mother and anyone who agreed with her was not welcome in our home, and that I don't need to be forgiven when I've done nothing wrong. He then said the house was his, and as the head of the family, it was his decision. I said fine, but why did he allow her to call me a liar and a whore? Those things are not true, and our child shouldn't be called a bastard. He just repeated he would not argue with his mother. After that, I stopped speaking to him and started gathering up my daughter's things and purse, and walked out the door with her. He tried to stop me and told me I couldn't take his daughter anywhere without him, and I lost the little bit of composure I had left. I told him she wasn't his daughter. He had proved he didn't see her as his daughter, when he'd allowed his mother to call her a filthy bastard and told him she wasn't his. He broke down into tears and begged me to come back inside, but at the time I felt nothing. He looked pathetic to me. I've taken my baby with me and gone back home to my parents, and finally told my family the truth, which feels so good. They're completely in support of my decision, and are not allowing my spineless husband anywhere near us, as he still refuses to apologize to me or set the record straight with his family. However, I told his sister-in-law that I was close to the truth, and she told the rest of his family. Half of his family is understanding, while the other side is on his mother's side, but they're all mad at my husband. I need time to cool down, but I know eventually my husband and I need to figure our marriage out. One thing is for certain, I will not return to his house until he apologizes to me and promises to protect me and his daughter fiercely. I want to see this in action form, starting with him telling his mother what she did was wrong and banning her from coming to see us until she asks for my forgiveness. We were also planning on having more children as he wants a big family, but that is off the table as I don't believe he is ready and we both need to get back into therapy. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'm confused. Your husband had a low sperm count, but he was still producing, and the IVF clinic normally harvests your husband's sperm and choose the healthiest candidate and then inject it directly into one of your eggs. Why did you decide to get a third-party sperm donor when your husband was still producing sperm, albeit at a much lower quantity? Defective sperm and low sperm counts are not the same thing. A healthy donor was less expensive and had a higher chance of success than IVF. We've had many friends who did IVF and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, only to have no results and or more miscarriages. We explored all our options thoroughly and he chose this one. We were $300,000 in, and my ex did want to go your route. I did and still have no child to show for it. He was stubborn and wouldn't listen. He did a few other crappy things until I finally left. I'm glad you have a child to hold on to. I'm so sorry. The choice is very difficult between IVF, donor, surrogate, or adoption. I'm glad you are free of your ex. I hope to be free soon as well. Ask yourself this. Do you believe he is capable of changing? Everything he has said and allowed to be said to you is nothing but disrespectful. I'm beginning to conclude he does not love me enough to change or protect us. He most certainly does not love you enough. I would lose my mind if someone were to disrespect my loved ones, but I'm glad it sounds like you have a supportive family. Stay strong. Don't let him disrespect you again. Thank you. My family's very supportive. They are helping me to find new housing and furnishing. I just never prepared to be a single mother, and I know he will fight me every step of the way. He prioritizes his ego and pride over everything else. It's why he refused to adopt. These days, you can't hide adoption. They interview everyone who might be involved, unless you do entirely privately. And it's why he insisted on hiding the sperm donor. For him, having children is a mark of prowess. And he doesn't have it anymore, which is why he's okay with letting his family throw you under the bus. If he can spread the blame, so much the better. I would see a lawyer ASAP OP, so even if you can't bring yourself to start proceedings, you know where you stand and can make plans. He then said the house was his, and as the head of the family, it was his decision. This is probably the most egregious part of your story for me. So the house is his, he is in charge. But when it comes to actually standing up for the family he's the head of, he has no responsibility? Very freaking convenient. Your husband has a terminal combination of pride and cowardice. From start to finish, you had to bend over backwards to cuddle his ego. But the second you were in the firing line, it suddenly isn't his problem. He wants all the benefits of being seen as the big man, with none of the actual behavior to back it up. Pathetic. Then to say you can't take his daughter when he just agreed with his mother that she is a bastard? Boy, bye. If he apologizes, it's going to be mealy-mouthed, and definitely not followed by changed behavior. I would personally start looking for a lawyer now. If you want, you could suggest couples counseling. But given his incredibly fragile ego, I doubt he would participate meaningfully in that process, and you'd be trying to undo a lifetime of mama's boy immaturity. When it told me it was his house and not our house, it hurt me deeply as well. He told me when we got married, he bought our house for me, and that it would always be our house. Now it feels like my whole world was ripped out from under me. But I understand people are allowed to take back their promises. I will be creating my own home that can never be taken away from me. I cannot have this happen again. Let him have his cold, lonely house, with his mother being the only woman to set foot in it. You and your daughter and your family will make a wonderful life away from that. Does he have any redeeming qualities? It does not seem so, and I'm sure you are aware there is nothing worth saving. Please don't allow yourself or your child to continue to be abused by these total a-holes. I will most certainly never allow my baby to be abused verbally or physically, and his redeeming qualities are few. Now for the update. I want to start by thanking those who were so kind. Your words of encouragement and advice were greatly appreciated. Here is my update. Apparently, after I left my husband's house, my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, and sister-in-law accused me of cheating. I'd already begun speaking with a lawyer after Owen refused to tell the truth to his family, but knowing he let them tell other people I cheated is like getting punched in the chest. I'm now renting a nice 2-bedroom apartment. My siblings and their partners have helped me furnish it, and my top priority is ensuring my baby has everything she needs. Currently, I'm working to create a cozy nursery for her and hiring a nanny. Facing the end of my marriage is terrifying, but I'm learning to accept my new reality. When I notified Owen I was going to file for divorce, he started calling and messaging nonstop. His messages ranged from begging me to come home, telling me he will tell the truth and get therapy, again begging to see our baby, and then threatening to drag me home. I told him the divorce was happening whether he liked it or not, because he failed as a husband, and failed even worse as a parent. He then sent photos and videos of my things in the garbage, and him and my brother-in-law trashing the nursery. His exact words, "I don't need it anymore." In the most disturbing video, he threw our baby's car seat in a dumpster. I do not recognize him or his behavior anymore. He claims to miss his daughter and me, but is trying to make his behavior my fault for not doing what I'm told. This is not the man I agreed to marry. The man I married was smart, kind, gentle, thoughtful, and funny. But this vileness from him was waiting for me the moment I didn't obey and take the disrespect from his family to save him from the humiliation of his infertility. Before the fallout with his mother, he was not like this. It's certainly not an excuse, but I believe it all centered on him feeling emasculated and humiliated by his family. I just can't believe he couldn't at least stand up to his family for me and our baby, the one he said he would die for. I'm not blocking Owen as my lawyer said to email everything he says to me to him, but the constant threatening messages makes me scared to leave my home. Owen knows where I work and has repeatedly told me he will drag us back if that's what it takes, and that I'm making him do this. My lawyer and I are working on a restraining order, but every woman who was attacked by her ex-husband knows restraining orders don't keep you safe. However, things took a turn when my father-in-law showed up on my parents' doorstep, and it's the reason I decided to update. My father-in-law asked to speak with me. My parents told him they would call me and ask, but if I said no, then that was final, and he would not be welcomed back. I only agreed to speak to father-in-law because he told my parents he was there to apologize for his family and set the record straight. My dad called me as my father-in-law was blocked from calling me, and when I picked up, my father-in-law immediately apologized for his wife's behavior. He wanted to hear my side of the story as he did not believe I cheated. I thanked him. I was never close to father-in-law, but we've always been civil, and let him know of course I did not cheat. I told him of his son's infertility, and that Owen proposed to get a donor. I told him very clearly it was his son's decision, and that because my father-in-law and his family put blood as the only valid form of family, my husband made me lie so our child would be treated equally. After I finished, my father-in-law seemed stunned. He was quiet for a while, then asked if his wife and son could come over and see my daughter in person, as they missed us and were ready to be a family again. But I told him no. Father-in-law then asked if there was anything Owen could do to fix the marriage, and I again told him no. Father-in-law tried to say I was being unfair, but my dad stepped in and said father-in-law was overstaying his welcome. Before I hung up, I told father-in-law that his son was sending me abusive messages daily, and if he truly was sorry, then he should make his son stop. Then I hung up. My parents said my father-in-law was irritated that I did not respectfully say goodbye or give Owen a chance to save his marriage, but left with a little fuss after my parents laid into him about raising his swine of a son to threaten his wife and child. Telling his father must have worked, because I haven't gotten a single message from Owen since then. I do not want anything from my soon-to-be ex. Not child support, not alimony, not the house, or any of his other assets. I just need him to agree to the divorce and give up his parental rights, so my little girl can grow up with a family who loves her unconditionally. I have a good degree and a great job. My child and I will be fine without him. Owen's lawyer has made it clear they're going to fight us for full custody. And my soon-to-be ex has significantly more money than me, but my lawyer is confident in our case and I trust them. Today, my mother-in-law has been trying to contact me as she wants to be in my daughter's life and is saying she is ready to accept her as she is. As if my daughter needs to be accepted by her. If it's up to me, their whole family will never see us again. Edit: Owen has destroyed hundreds of thousands of dollars of my electronics, clothes, furniture, and paintings. That's the only thing I will be making him pay me back for. I don't want any of his assets, just the things I worked hard to earn, and he destroyed. There is a report, but I don't know what will come of it. Follow your lawyer's advice to the letter, and do not give up assets in the divorce. That is something you can put aside for your child, especially if you don't want him to have rights to your daughter. Make sure you get compensated for the damaged items and half the assets from your marriage. Begging to see our baby and then threatening to drag me home. And then sent photos and videos of my things in garbage and him and my brother-in-law trashing the nursery. His exact words, "I don't need it anymore." Best thing that man ever said and did. This warrants 2 restraining orders for him, as well as for brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law. I still think that, seeing how he reacts, the chances of him claiming/getting custody of your daughter are very, very small. Today, my mother-in-law has been trying to contact me as she wants to be in my daughter's life and is saying she is ready to accept her as she is. No way in hell. This is exactly what I thought. What judge would give custody to a man who's on video trashing all of his daughter's stuff when he's angry? Why would he get custody when he's destroyed everything he needs to take care of his child? He's made it abundantly clear, with evidence, that he's unstable and can't be trusted. I'm so proud of you, OB. You showed so much courage, and best of all, you're a damn good mother. Stay safe and good luck in court. I hope you kick Owen's butt. Your first post had so many people raging about why you didn't divorce him on the spot. But I get it, not everyone can make that decision in a split second. You had begun making up your mind to leave him when you were safely away and able to think critically. I think it's easy for people to say what they would or wouldn't do when they're a million miles away from the situation and have nothing to lose. But it's so much harder when you're the one who lives with the consequences. And this time to assess the situation will also help settle things in your favor. None of them can say you didn't give them a chance to set things right. They are all horrid except father-in-law, a little less so. Owen's lawyer has made it clear they're going to fight us for full custody, and my soon-to-be ex has significantly more money than me. Owen's lawyer should have told his client to keep his mouth shut, because his threats and the photos of him trashing your property at a baby's nursery are pretty freaking damning. It's good that you're standing up for yourself and your child. I hope you're able to ring him for every penny he owes you, and then some. Like many a-holes, I doubt he told his lawyer everything. I've seen a good chunk of lawyers blindsided by their own clients. I'm putting in my $1.25 money that he does not know. And when your lawyer gets your texts and videos that you were sent, and all your future recordings you have between you and Owen Hall and his family, yeah, they will drop him like it's hot. Last story. Am I the a-hole for using my husband's affair with my cousin against them? My grandparents give each of their grandkids enough to buy a house when we graduate from college. We have to get through college on our own. My older brother made it through with some debt, so we paid that off and still had enough for a 50% down payment and money in the bank for emergencies. I was lucky enough to qualify for a scholarship, as well as a bursary through my father's employer. When I graduated, I bought a small house close to public transportation so I could take the train to work. A few years later, I met and married my husband. He met my cousin Yvonne at my wedding. She is beautiful. I know I'm not ugly, but she is gorgeous. They started an affair about 3 months after the wedding. I found out because they are both stupid. I was hurt, but more than that, I was furious. I wanted to kick him out immediately and divorce him. Instead, I waited almost 6 more months. A month before she graduated from university, I went to my grandparents and broke down. I told them that I just found out about the cheating and that I was shattered. That my own family would do that to me. I stayed with them for a couple of weeks. My husband tried to get to me, but I didn't talk to him. My grandmother helped me get a lawyer for the divorce during this time. My cousin has basically been shunned by the family now. My house was a premarital asset and was covered in our prenup. I gave my ex 1 month to move out. My grandparents are old school about marriage and family, and they are beyond angry. They said that they couldn't fix what she did, but they could make their displeasure clear. They gave me her money. She had taken out student loans since she knew she could pay them back before all this. She also chose a degree that was not exactly in the STEM area, so she will not be making a great salary coming out of school. My ex is begging me to let him stay because he loves me. I said that he would not sleep with other women if he loved me. I know he doesn't. He just did the math and found out how screwed he is. My aunt and uncle are angry at me for screwing their baby out of so much money. I want to be clear here. It was never my intention to take her money. I just wanted our grandparents not to give it to her. Me getting it was just frosting on a cake. Right now, the family's divided but mostly on my side. They do not want to openly disagree with my grandparents. Everything is over and done with. The divorce will take a little more time, but the money is in my retirement account. My ex is out of my house, and my cousin can go F herself. I feel guilty about not confronting them immediately and for bringing my grandparents into it. My ex asked me how I knew, and I told the idiot his texts were all showing up in our tablet before he deleted them. I'd screenshots of everything. So I guess I'm asking if I went too far and whether that makes me the only a-hole in this situation. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She knew she was doing wrong and she should have known there might be consequences. She ain't a kid anymore. She is responsible for her own actions. Them. The cousin didn't accidentally fall on OP's husband's junk. The both of them are acting horribly. Both have to face the consequences of their actions. Yeah, they both did. However, if I got off on sleeping with married men, I would try to at least not sleep with my cousin's husband, especially if I hadn't been given my inheritance by my old school grandparents yet. So she definitely lost out more. But oh well. Not the a-hole. In a perfect world, you would have addressed it immediately. This isn't a perfect world. You needed time to grieve, process what happened, and build the strength to deal with it. Going to your grandparents, who seem to be very strong supporters of yours and all of their grandkids, you had no idea how they'd react. I don't think you went to them to screw your cousin, nor could you know how they'd react. Unlike your cousin who screwed your husband to mess with you, they both knew what they were doing and were consenting adults. Obviously, her parents aren't going to hold her accountable for her actions. Your grandparents did. Sucks to be her for sleeping with your husband. I'm sorry you went through this, but you should feel zero guilt about how this all played out. You're the victim here. I bet if she did confront them straight away, the grandparents would still have the same reaction. 100% agree with you. The grandparents take care of their family, but also hold them accountable. The aunt and uncle don't like it, but the grandparents sound like stand-up folks to me.